So thank you so much to everybody for joining us this afternoon. If you don't know me, my name's Dan, and I'm head of agency at Planet Scale. And today what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at a series of different video options that you can use in your, thanks Carmen, thanks for letting me know, that you can use in your business to grow your business, to revolutionize the way you do things, and also to try and unlock some of those opportunities that we all know are out there, but we just need to start actioning them. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for spending your Tuesday afternoon or a section of your Tuesday afternoon with us. We really do appreciate it when you join. Before we begin though, we normally would leave this till the end, but actually what I want to do is I want you to get kind of interactive, and I want this to be engaging as possible for you before we start. So what we've done is we've actually built a video scorecard, which you can see on the right-hand side there. So if you scan that QR code on the screen there, you'll be able to get access to this. Now, if you're watching this on your phone, then obviously you won't be able to scan the QR code, but we'll send it out afterwards, so don't worry. But this will basically ask you a series of questions in a few minutes, and that will give you an idea of some of the gaps in your business relating to the video. So where you could be using it better, where you're perhaps not using it at the moment that you could be at in the future. So if you want to get going with that while I'm talking in the webinar, then hopefully that will give you some context of where you need to improve. Obviously, if you want to just leave this till the end, then that's absolutely fine. So if we just keep going then. So today what we're going to look at is we're going to look at, first of all, the common mistakes or hurdles that financial planning firms face with video. And when we say video, we obviously mean lots of different formats, but most people would think in front of camera, whether that's on your phone, whether it's an actual camera, whether it's a webcam, whether it's whatever it might be, whatever they face when it comes to video. Then we're going to look at the 5 types of video that every firm, and I say every financial planning firm, can use to improve their client experience. And then also what we'll do is we'll inject a few real life examples of how firms are using video in their processes and in their marketing to bring it to life a little bit and show you some case studies and use cases of how this could work. So first of all, let's have a look at some of the hurdles and some of the mistakes that people in financial planning specifically make with their video. So we obviously talk to loads of financial planners. We talk to hundreds of financial planners a year. We work with hundreds of financial planners a year. And what we hear on a daily basis is a few different kind of quotes from people that tend to be in this kind of pattern. And the first one, definitely the most common one, is it's too time consuming. So if you could say video is too time consuming, and that's definitely the most common one that we hear. And I get it, it is time consuming. So it's all about balancing the effort with the results on the other side. So it should be time consuming. It shouldn't be something that necessarily you just put off to somebody else and just ignore it. It should take a considerable amount of your time. But what I want to get across today is the benefits of doing so and putting that time in. Another one which you kind of might recognize is it's too expensive. So a lot of people think that to do this, you have to spend 20, 30 grand on a video team to come in, or you have to hire your own videographer, or all those kind of things. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a big advocate for those kind of things of hiring video teams, hiring videographers and stuff like that. But actually, what I'm going to show you today is it doesn't actually need to be as expensive as you think it might be. Next one we hear is it's too difficult. And for this one, to be honest, that is purely down to mainly a lack of experience or a lack of exposure to this kind of stuff. So when people say it's too difficult, what I normally think or normally suggest is either it's an excuse or they just need a bit of training on how to actually integrate this stuff into the things that they're doing, because it's actually simpler and easier than a lot of us think it is. Another one that we get is that our clients don't want it. And this one always does make me chuckle because of all of the research out there, all of the evidence shows that your clients actually do want this. So again, I guess you could file this under something as of an excuse, but a lot of people say, for example, that their target audience is older, they're less technologically advanced, and they won't watch videos. But actually, the evidence is completely against that. It shows that there definitely is a trend towards younger audiences and their engagement with video, but actually it's a lot closer than people think. And older clients and less technologically advanced clients do actually consume video as well. Where to regulate it is another one that I hear. And again, this is an excuse if we're being honest. Where to regulate it is a way of saying, I haven't got the time, or I haven't got the energy, or I haven't got the effort to put into this, and therefore I'm going to use compliance or regulation as an excuse. But actually, you can do so much on video, just like any other piece of content. This kind of stuff fits into that regulation, and actually the FCA and all these different compliance consultants and that kind of stuff, they're pushing towards people and financial planners using video as a medium. And the final one that we hear is, we don't have the kit. Now, this one is a fair one, definitely, because the quality definitely goes up when you have nicer kits. That's just the way it goes in life. But actually, again, what I'm going to show you today is that you don't need a massive amount of kit to get started. You know, if you've got one of these, if you've got a phone, if you've got 20 quid to spend on a microphone from Amazon and a bit of money to spend on a bit of lighting, ultimately, you've got all the tools that you need. So again, we're going to go through that today a little bit, but that's another thing that we hear from people, which is absolutely fair as well. And again, the thing I've just kind of mentioned in all of those different kind of quotes from people there is, are these things just excuses? And that's a question, and I know it might be a little bit provocative, and sometimes that's what we need. But I want you to ask yourself, if you've ever said any of those things, is it actually a fair sentence? Is it actually a fair quote from you? Or are these things just excuses? Are these things that you just tell yourself to put it off and to procrastinate from doing it in the future? And the reason I say it's an excuse is for a few different reasons, which was just outlined there. But another one is this. So we did some research, and this is a bit old. It's from 2018. I guess the figures would change a little bit now, but I can't imagine they would have changed too much. But 20% of firms, according to the IFA magazine, have video on their websites. So that's looking at all different aspects of video, whether that's blogs, whether it's little handy explainer videos, whether it's process videos, whether it's fee videos, whatever it might be. Only 20% of firms had video on their website. So like I said, it was in 2018, so it's probably changed a little bit now, but I would still imagine it's certainly less than 50%. Or even more than that. I think it's definitely a low percentage of firms use video. And this is another bit of research that I actually looked into. In case you don't know what glossophobia is, so glossophobia is an intense fear of public speaking. And to be honest, as it says there, 3/4 of the population have that fear. And most of us, if you think about it, speaking in front of an audience, or speaking in front of people, or speaking in front of anything, it brings that kind of fight or flight thing that we have in our human DNA. That's something that we just have, and it's a rational thing, because when we were early days of evolution and those kind of things, speaking in front of audiences was a lot more scary because there was a lot more threat involved. Nowadays, obviously, the threat is lower. You're not going to get killed. However, we most likely not to get killed, but the video thing is basically a modern innovation which almost replaces that audience. The video is actually scarier for a lot of people because you don't get that feedback from the audience. You don't get people laughing, you don't get people smiling, you don't even get people smirking or anything like that. It's just a pure technological enhancement that you're looking at. And therefore, what I would actually suggest is that this fear of public speaking just applies to video. And that's one of the reasons I think that a lot of people give these excuses, is because they have glossophobia and they're scared of talking in front of people. And it's a completely rational fear, and most of us have it. I'm not saying that you're irrational if you have that. But again, I'm just trying to introduce why this might be the case and some of the mistakes and hurdles that we have. So some of the common mistakes that we see from financial planning firms, and to be honest, these are, again, really, really simple, rational mistakes that people make. And they often come from a really good place. But the first one is definitely striving for perfection. So this is the idea that I'm not going to put something out there. I'm not going to record a video. I'm not going to put out any content because it doesn't feel like it's perfect to me. And as we know, there's a common phrase, isn't there, which is perfect is the enemy of good, and perfect is the enemy of done. And if we strive for perfection too much, ultimately, we're never going to put anything out there. So one of the things we have to tell ourselves all the time when it comes to video is if we're expecting it to be perfect, we're going to be disappointed a lot of the time. The next one is talking about topics that ultimately no one really cares about. And we'll have a look at this in a little bit when we look at the different video tactics out there. But a lot of people, they will record videos based on things that have come to them when they're in the shower or something like that. And they might think it's a really good idea, but actually then they find that their audience really don't engage with it or don't actually care. And then if you put that out too often, that can start to get in your head and make you think that you're not doing a good job, when actually you could be doing a good job, but you're just talking about the wrong things. And there's lots of different things that we can look at to try and give you topics that people actually do care about, which we'll have a look at today. But this is one of the mistakes that people make. Another one is, this is an absolutely crazy one, and I'm sure that all of you have done this at some point. I've done it in the past as well when I was working in financial planning, and also a lot of people do it, but it's creating content for other advisors. Now, in my mind now, knowing what we do now, knowing what we know now, that's crazy. I don't necessarily think that other advisors engaging with your content is a bad thing. But I think that creating content for other advisors, unless you're a financial planner whose target audience is financial planners, that is a little bit crazy in terms of, especially if you're looking at things like lead generation. So that's another thing that we see a lot of people doing. Another mistake is this kind of common thing of recording a video once. So setting up all the kits, getting all the content done, writing the scripts, sitting in front of video and actually recording it, editing it, and then they'll put it out there. They'll use it once and then they'll forget about it and they won't ever use that again. Now, this is something called repurposing, which we would definitely recommend with all of our clients. And it's something that's so easy. And sometimes it just requires a little bit of a think in your mind about how could I use that video over here? Or how could I use this social media video in my emails? Something like that. But this is definitely something that a lot of people do, which is recording once and then just forgetting it in the future. Another thing is being stingy with setup and kit. So I have just said, by the way, that you can spend 20 quid on Amazon and as long as you've got a phone, then you're absolutely fine. But actually, if you do want that quality to increase, the value for money that you get by investing in some proper, real good kit is massive. And it can change things completely. It can change the way that people engage with your video. It can change the way you feel in front of camera, and also just to change how you generally think about this kind of stuff. So with video, the more money that you put into it, generally it's a good return rate and a good return on investment for that investment that you give. And the final one is, again, a bit of a provocative one, but it's I've seen a lot of people using things like HeyGen and AI video generation tools. At the moment, I really don't think these things are ready to start putting out there. I think you can use them in very kind of limited scenarios. But at the moment, I think they're really easy to spot. I hope I don't sound like I'm grumpy about AI, by the way, but I just don't think these things are quite ready yet to start using. I think that you and your personality and your kind of the way you are, that's going to come across a lot better. So HeyGen and things like that and AI tools are going to be a massive part of our future. But at the moment, I still think that the actual human does a better job of being in front of camera. So, by the way, the chat is open. So if you want to leave any questions, any comments, get the conversation going, let us know how you get on that video scorecard as well. If I say anything you disagree with, please leave it in the comments. I want this to be nice and interactive. And if you do have any questions, we can either answer them at the end or we can answer them throughout. The Q&A is also open as well. So if there's any questions that you have so far, or if you want to stick any ideas in the chat for other people, please feel free to do so. So, now I'm going to shut up about complaining about you guys, and I'm going to give you some actual ideas of how you can start to improve things and start to integrate some of the cool ways that we see people using video in their processes. So we're just going to fire straight into them. And the first one is videos in your sales and onboarding emails. So the reason that I've said that I've split it up between sales and onboarding is because they're actually two separate things. There's a distinct line between them. It's quite hazy, but they are two very distinct things. Now, sales is what I would consider the first phone call that you have with people on your website, people when they leave an inquiry, and people, videos when, for example, somebody leaves a question on the website. The onboarding stuff is actually when they've come into your sphere, if you will. That's when they've maybe had their discovery meeting and they're now onboarding through the process. So they're doing the fact find. They might be coming along to their second meeting. It might be the cash flow meeting. It might be the strategy meeting, all that kind of stuff, where they're actually in the process of becoming a client. That's what I would classify as onboarding. Now, there's a line between the two, and it's a quite, like I said, a hazy line, but there is a difference between the two. But whatever it is, using videos in there is going to massively improve things in the way you do things. So here's some examples. And again, like, these are distinguished between sales and onboarding. So the first example is a really simple one, and that's just a video when someone leaves an inquiry on the website. So for example, thank you so much for leaving an inquiry. One of our team will be back in touch with you soon. In the meantime, have a read of this guide, or something like that. Again, if you're in a vanity parade or beauty contest with another firm, I can guarantee that they're likely not to be doing anything like that. And the great thing about that is it can be automated massively. Next one is a video before their first meeting, or the first interaction that they have with you, to explain what to prepare, what to bring along, what to think about. Again, I've said this a few times in the past, but most people, when they're visiting a financial planner, it will be their first time. It'll be the first time they've maybe even engaged with a professional before. They have no idea what to expect. So a nice little video just explaining what they should bring, what they should prepare, what they should think about. It can go a massively long way in that client experience, and again, impressing people right from the very beginning. The third one is a video after that discovery meeting to explain what's next. So a lot of the time, people will send a huge email with everything that they discussed. But actually, what can be really good is, even still while they're driving home from that discovery meeting, or whatever it might be, or however long after, a nice little automated video gets sent to them just to explain what's next. So again, you can be general with this, because I would imagine the process is relatively the same for everybody. But you can say, after this meeting, we will now send you our fact find, or we will now send you our client agreement, or we will now go away and do some research, or get letters of authority signed, or whatever it might be that you're going to do in that process. Make sure that you can display that to your clients so they know what's going on. And a video can be the best way to do that. And again, it can be automated. Another one is, just like the discovery meeting, do it for the annual planning meeting as well. So they haven't seen you for 12 months, or they might have done, but they've only seen you a few times. Get your face in front of them again before they come in for that annual planning meeting, and maybe a day before, 2 days before, even a week before. Have a video that says, it's your annual planning meeting next week. Here's what we want you to bring along. Here's what we're going to think about. Here's what we need you to prepare before that meeting. Again, just little touches can make a huge difference in that client experience, and those touch points that we always talk about. Another one is a video explaining why you're asking for certain things in a fact find. Now, I've seen this with clients in the past where we've maybe asked them for their national insurance number, or we've asked them for some weird, obscure number like their council tax bill or something like that. And they're like, why are you asking me for this? So a little video just to explain why you're asking for the information you are. Often they can do it so much better than you trying to explain it every time. So if you can just have something embedded in the fact find that says, the reason we're asking for this is because we need it to, build your cash flow plan, or garbage in, garbage out. So we need to really make sure that the stats you're giving us are true. Anything like that along those lines, nice and personal, just to make it really kind of simple to understand about why they're doing that. And the final one is a video explaining your services. So think of this as almost like a digital brochure, but let's imagine that they've just left the inquiry. They maybe get a video straight away saying, thanks for leaving the inquiry. A day later, perhaps they get another email that says, thank you for leaving an inquiry. Here's a little video about us. And that could be a welcome video. It can be a video explaining your services. It can be a video explaining your team. There's so many options here. But again, just trying to improve that digital touch points that you have with them. And you can guarantee that at this point, sending them anything to give them a better idea of you is going to be better than sending them nothing. And again, it's just a nice little touch point to have in that process. By the way, if anybody has any thoughts about any of those, then please just leave them in the chat. Or if you're doing these at the moment, make sure to put them in the chat as well. There's a reason, though, that why these things work so well. So for every one of these, we're going to be going through what makes them work so well. And the reason why these onboarding videos and sales videos work so well is, well, first of all, because they educate clients, and they also get them to engage more in the process. Now, the evidence is there that if you educate people on what you do, that's one of the massive hurdles that you overcome in the world of marketing, and that can help push them towards making a decision. but also engage them more as well. So they understand things a little bit more, but also they then give more to you because you're giving to them as well. So it's like a reciprocative relationship that you have with them. And they can be highly automated. So you don't even need to be there in order to send these things. So for example, if you use something like Calendly or along those lines, these things can be automatically sent and you don't have to send them every time. The system, the technology can do it for you. So it means that you're there when actually you're not even there, which is, again, one of the benefits of technology. And this is a really big one, is that we always say, don't we, that financial planning is a human-to-human kind of relationship that you have with people. This makes the process human from the very first moment until the very last. So there's you and your team and people and humans and faces throughout, rather than feeling like you're being dealt with by a corporation or those kind of things. This is what sets the smaller financial planning firms aside from perhaps the bigger, less personalized ones, is little touches like this, where it's you, people buying into your kind of the way you are, your personality. This can help to really get that personality across. So next one is video ask. And I've talked about this loads of times in the past. And the more we use it, the more opportunities and the more ways to use it that we see. So you might recognize this dude here. This is Alan, of course, from Capital Partners. We've been doing quite a lot with these guys recently. But here are some examples of how you use Video Ask. And if you haven't used Video Ask or haven't seen or heard of Video Ask before, effectively what it is it's just an engagement tool. So you can download it on your phone, you can have it on your computer, you can have it in the web browser. And all it is just something to capture a video, but it also has some really cool little distinct touches in there as well. So let's imagine some examples. First one is a quick video after meetings from the advisor. So this is one I've talked about in the past, where clients come in, the advisor afterwards gets their phone out, records a quick video that just says, thank you for coming in today. It was really lovely to see you. Here's some of the things we talked about, and here's what you need to do next. Again, that can be so easily done from your phone, sent to them automatically by email, and they get it and they can reply to it with video, they can reply to it with audio, they can send you a message, all these different things. But it just increases that engagement that you're having with your clients. Another one is, and by the way, you can do that at every meeting. So you can do that after the first meeting, second meeting, third meeting, annual meeting, however often it is that you want to do them. The next one is an interactive guide on how you invest. So a lot of people, they'll send an investment guide to their clients, which I think is a good thing of how you invest their money, because it's important. They want to know that. But actually, as you probably know, to us, that information is really exciting and interesting, and we put a lot of work into it and we care about it. To clients, most of the time, they don't really care. But we want to get them care. We want to get them to care. We want to get them involved. And an interactive guide on this could be really good. So imagine that you've got you on the left-hand side of the screen, and then down the right-hand side is all the different investment principles that you have. So, evidence-based investing, why we choose systematic investing, how we handle charges, how we look at fees, all those kind of things. You can have those down the right-hand side, and they bring up more videos that people can engage with. It's super interactive. It's really easy to understand. And also it puts you in there as well. So again, it's like you being there without you actually being there. So you can send this to clients without them needing to listen to you in person. Another one is on number 3, there's an interactive video version of your client agreement. So if you can think exactly the same way about your investment guide as you do about client agreements, again, it's a durable medium by the FCA. You can send it, you can explain the different areas. So you can explain all the technical stuff in there, the FSCS and those kind of things. But you can also explain your charges in there as well. And it's a really, really nice way to make a quite, let's be honest, dull, not very engaging document really interesting and really interactive for people to engage with. Another one is a video chasing the clients if they haven't replied for a while. So I do this when I send out a proposal. A week or 2 later, I'll send a video if they haven't replied, saying, basically what's going on. You can do the same with your clients if they haven't replied. Some people have video stories on their website answering client questions. So they load the answers in and it's almost like a bit of an interactive chat bot that you've got on your website with you built in there, and you can embed them all over the place. And another one is gathering video testimonials from your clients. So a lot of people really struggle with this and how they're going to do them. But actually what you can do is you can just send a nice message to your clients, video message saying, we're doing some testimonials at the moment. Can you just reply to this with a video of what you've been enjoying most recently, or what we've helped you to achieve in your life? And again, you can download that, edit it, put it on the website, and it's a way to get video testimonials, which feels nicer and feels easier for clients to engage with. So there's another thing that why these work so well. So they're really quick, really personalized, and they can actually be done on your phone, like I said. So they don't demand massive pieces of kit or anything like that. They're really, really simple to use. As we've already pointed out, they allow things that are quite boring and quite stiff and dull, ultimately, to become interactive and interesting. And you can introduce lots of different methods in here, so you can change the way the camera looks and those kind of things to make it pop. And they're so easy to set up and to use every day as well. So if you've got it on your computer and you have, let's say, for example, a client to chase or a client to drop a video to, you can just click on a button, get that video recorded, send it by email immediately, and it's dead simple to use. And it doesn't cost very much money at all as well. Any thoughts about that? Stick it in the chat and we'll have a look at that at the end. The next one is social media short content. Now, if I didn't put this in there, I think everybody will be surprised. And obviously, I was going to put this in there. But actually, what I want you to start doing is thinking about things a little bit differently to how you perhaps currently perceive this type of content. What we hear a lot from people, and I was so happy, by the way, that I managed to get the skeptical dog into one of my webinars. I don't think I've ever done that before, and I was really proud of myself that I managed to get this in there, is I don't know what to talk about. Now, that's something that we hear all the time. And again, if we can come back to the start, this is one of those excuses that we talked about. And whenever somebody says this to me, I do kind of have that face. I always think, is that just an excuse? Now, it might be true. You might not know what to talk about, but actually, hopefully after today, you'll have an idea of what you could talk about with this type of content. And anybody who's been on the webinars before will probably know that, and they're probably sick of me mentioning this book. But this is, if that's something that you say, and if that's something that you think in your head, I don't know what to talk about, this book is your hero. This is going to save you. It's really simple to read. It's, I think it's about 200 something pages. It's really kind of accessible, really nice to read. It's written very well as well. And the idea is that your clients have probably been asking you questions for years, if not decades, depending on how experienced you are. And all those questions are content. Everything around us now, everything that we do on a daily basis can be content if we switch our frame of mind. And this book will help you to think like that. So what I want everybody on this to do, if you haven't already read it, is to give it a read and see how that changes your mentality, because I guarantee that this will unlock at least a few ideas on the type of content that you can be producing for your audience. And this is kind of like if you think about this, is a basic way of explaining this to you. Okay, so what I want you to imagine is that you've come along to this webinar today, you've thought, you know what, some of the things Dan said were absolute bollocks, but some of them were actually really good. I am now going to start posting on social media with short form content. Okay, you can get started tomorrow. And what we would do is, number one, make a note of every question you've been asked this year. So there's really cool meeting note software out there now. Obviously, I think a few of you are actually using it now, which is interesting. But make a note, of every question you've been asked this year, and use things like Saturn and those kind of things to go back to the meeting notes and see specifically what the questions that your actual clients were asking. Now, I know that one of the biggest questions, maybe not in this exact phrasing, will be how much is enough, or when can I retire? Those kind of things. Those are the simplest ideas, okay? But they're actually in a client's words. What you can then do is put that into ChatGPT or Perplexity and tell it that you need a 60-second video script in British English. And what that will then do is it will write something that, let's be honest, doesn't really sound like you, but then you can tell it to make it sound more like you, give it some more prompts, give it some more ideas of what you want it to look at. And that will give you a 60-second video script to use in your videos. Now, the likelihood is, and this again might be a bit provocative, is you'll do that part, no problem, because it's easy. You can go and find questions that your clients have asked, and you can stick them into an AI tool. That's piss easy, and that will only take you maximum 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it might be. This is the bit that you absolutely will not do because it's scary. And I'm saying you will not do it, by the way, because I want to strike something in you and I want to provoke something in you to get you to actually do this. Because it's scary, you're likely not to get your phone out once you've got that script and record an answer to that question, or even ask your better half or somebody at work or a friend or a colleague, whatever it might be, to film that answer that you've got to that question. You're probably not likely to do that because this is where it starts to get hard and scary. And the scariest bit for most people is all the behind the scenes stuff is done, as in the scripting, the finding, the recording. The end bit of posting on the platform, that's the biggest hurdle that we see a lot of people struggling with. And that's the bit where it all falls down, because you can record loads of amazing content, but unless you actually use it, unless you actually put it out there, there's no point in doing it in the first place. So a bit of a challenge from me, to be honest. If anybody sees this and they don't like being told that they can't do something, like me, this is how you could get started tomorrow. And I'm sure that you already knew this, but this is perhaps your prompt to actually do this. And if you do this, please tag me tomorrow with what you thought and how easy it was and those kind of things. But this is, again, just something I wanted to point out of how easy it can be to get started with this kind of stuff. Now, the reason that social media and short form content works so well is, first of all, because it builds up your thought leadership and allows you to educate your audience. Now, education is so big in marketing. It's one of the most important things. And so is thought leadership. This is why people work with you, especially in the digital world, is because you're a thought leader in a certain space. These videos are perfect for doing that. This type of video, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, I'm sure you already know this, but it's the fastest growing marketing tactic. If you ask any, digital marketer nowadays or real marketer nowadays, what most people's kind of hygiene factor of what they should be doing, it's short form video. Yes, long form video as well. I'm a big fan of that, but short form video is the fastest growing at the moment, and it will be for the foreseeable future. And another thing is that they can be repurposed across lots of different methods. So we mentioned before about recording once and forgetting about it, but actually what this kind of content allows you to do is you can record a series of videos, let's say 12 videos, and then they can go into your emails and your newsletters for the rest of the year. So it means that your content is already done at the start of the year, and all you need to do is just send it out to your audience. Those kind of things are where we can start to get really clever with how technology works, how the systems work nowadays, and how automation works. This is the stuff that allows you to do that is through short form content a lot of the time. Again, any thoughts on that, please stick them into the chat there. Number 4 is stuff on the website. So a few people might recognize Matthew here from Santorini Financial Planning. We've been doing a lot of work with Matthew recently on things like the videos and websites. What I want you to do is I want you to put your answer in the chat. And this is a safe space, so don't worry. I'm not going to tell anybody. But what I want you to all to do is put your answer in the chat. How many videos do you have on your website? Even if it's a finger in the air and a guess, that's absolutely fine. I don't want you to feel embarrassed by this, but put your answer in the chat. How many videos do you currently have on your website? If it's 0, that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to say anything, but I just want to get a general vibe from people on how many videos they tend to have on their website. So there's a few numbers here. Yeah, there's a few zeros, which is absolutely fine. There's a few, somebody's put 5. Wow, that's a lot. That's great. There's a few different ones here. 5, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, there's all sorts of different numbers in there. Thank you so much for putting those in, guys. And if you if you pluck up the courage, then maybe chat to somebody else in the chat about that as well. The reason I wanted to do that is just to get, like I said, a general vibe of to show everybody that actually, really, everybody's in the same boat with this kind of stuff. But one of the most common questions that we get is, how do I make when we're building websites for people, it's how do I make our site different to others? And it's a completely valid question. because you don't want your website looking exactly the same as the firm down the road, or the financial planner that perhaps your clients have previously been to. You want to be different, and videos on your website is guaranteed to be the way that you make your site look different to others. You can mess around with design, you can change wording, you can change format, you can change structure, all sorts of different things. But a video, without doing anything else, will immediately make your site look different to others. And the reason for that is because it's you, and it's because it's your team, and it's because it's your personality. And that's what people want. They don't want this kind of corporate world of faceless businesses and those kind of things. They want to be dealing, especially in today's world, with people who understand what they're going through and they want to trust. And you on your website will absolutely change this immediately as soon as you have it on there. And all the evidence shows that, websites with videos on massively perform better in terms of engagement, in terms of conversion, in terms of clicks, everything. If you do your own research and go on ChatGPT and say how much better do websites perform when they've got video on them, you'll see it's massive. And these can be massive things for your business. They can really change the way to do things. Videos will always be the way to change the way that your site looks compared to somebody else's. And you can see in the background there that we've just built a site recently for the lovely Simon Alexander at Streamline Financial Planning, and he's got handy little videos on the website which explain things like his process, how his fees work. He's also on YouTube at the moment doing long form content, absolutely smashing it with thousands of views. Again, educating his audience and just making sure that people trust him before they start working with him. But this is the way that you'll make your website look different to others. It's by having you on there as a basic. So here's some ideas. A welcome video to explain your firm, pretty standard, to be honest. This is what a lot of people will think of when they think of a video on the website. It's just a nice welcome video that goes through who you are and your team and the way you do things. Another one that we've seen rising recently, especially with the rise of fixed fees, is educational, clear videos to explain those fees. So really simple, nice personal videos that say, this is how much we charge and these are the different fee levels and those kind of things. They can be really helpful. Basic one, hygiene one, is client testimonials and stories from clients. Absolutely massive. This is the biggest trust metric that people will look for on your website is, are there any other people like me on there? That's the best way to get that from your clients is to get them testimonials and stories from them. Tell your clients stories. Other people want to hear them. Videos for each team member. So still the most visited page on any financial planning website that we've worked on is always the Meet the Team page. And if you've got videos on there to explain who your team are and their do's and their don'ts and the things they love and the things they dislike and those kind of things, that massively makes your business look more personal than others. FAQs. So I love FAQs on websites. What these can do is you can answer all the questions that your clients ask, but with videos instead of just boring text. And again, you can actually put transcripts and captions on these so that they're optimized for things like SEO and those kind of things as well. And the final one is an insights page containing answers to big questions. So one of the people who does this really well is Jamie Kite from Kites FP. He has a whole insights page which has loads of videos on there answering questions like what is financial planning, what is cash flow planning, all those different kind of ideas and topics that previously you would have had a blog or something like that for, but instead, alongside the blog, he's also put videos on there, which is just such a nice way to engage with content. So check his site out and have a look at it if you get a chance. The reason why these work so well, the first one is that they will always, no matter what they look like, will always bring your site to life and make it interactive. If people have something to engage with immediately, that automatically makes it more interactive and more engaging for your audience, but they will bring it to life and bring your life to it as well, which is important. And videos also work towards SEO, or in today's world, it's AIO/GenEO, which is basically just AI optimization. They even work towards those. So if you want to become found on ChatGPT, if you want to become found on Google and those kind of things, videos actually work for those as well. Because if you put scripts and stuff like that there and captions, it can read those and it can work towards those, which is really, really handy to know. And also, finally, they help to demonstrate your team. What clients look for when they're working with somebody, most people anyways, is the other human being that I'm going to be working with. If you can have really nice videos of your team on there, obviously this helps to show the humanity behind your team. The final one is one that I would imagine quite a few of you have tried out in the past, but these can be massive for your business, and they're massive for our business because we use them internally, but also externally as well with clients. So it's Loom, and you might have heard of it before. And the idea with this is that it's a screen sharing software with video built in. So let's say, for example, you're sharing I'll go through some ideas in a second, but let's just say you're sharing a cash flow plan with your clients. You want to be able to talk through it with your clients rather than doing it in person. You can have a little video on the bottom left-hand side, just going through and talking through the cash flow model there. It's one of the best examples that I've seen. But here's some other ideas. So we've got a video straight after meetings going through the actions. So if you've got meeting note software like Saturn and that kind of stuff, for example, get recording you going through those actions with you a little video in the bottom left-hand corner, just saying what they're going to do and how they're going to be done. Rather than replying to emails with boring long text, reply to them with email instead and save somebody having to read a long email. Send a little Loom video instead. Absolutely fine from a regulatory perspective. It's a durable medium. There's no problems with it. Loom can be really good for that kind of stuff. Again, cash flow, I've already talked about that, but going through cash flow plans is one of the best ways I've seen this used. That should have been number one, really, to be honest. A lot of people as well use it to explain key parts of a suitability report. So if there's a really dull or boring part of a suitability report, or even a really interesting part, they can have a Loom video where they're going through the key bits. So things like objectives and that kind of stuff. Again, same works with a client agreement. If there's some way that you could record you going through your client agreement, so you don't have to do it every time, and you don't have to, explain all these different concepts ad lorem. You can record yourself doing that on Loom. But also, one thing we use it for, which I really would like to see more financial planning firms using, is part of a proposal. So when we send across a proposal to our clients, for example, they always have some examples in there. So examples of things that we've been working on. In your case, it could be telling stories about things that you've been doing, or showing cash flow, or what, an example cash flow for as an idea. All these different things that you can do just to bring that service to life a little bit more. But part of a proposal, and you can embed them in and all sorts. It's really interesting. Finally then, so why these things work so well? So they're easier for you to do than most things. So for example, recording a quick video, replying to an email, I don't know about anybody else, but I find that way easier than typing out a massive long response. So for a lot of emails, I will reply to it with a Loom video. It's really, really good for saving on those boring tasks. They make the process human. So you and the client can almost have a bit of a dialogue between yourselves without you actually being there. And this is what these things are designed for, is for that kind of dialogue between you and your clients. But also you can show your services much better rather than just telling them. So again, to use an example of cash flow, if you had, let's say, for example, a example cash flow report, you could record yourself going through it and record yourself changing it, adding scenarios, removing bars, adding assets, adding liabilities, all those kind of things to give the client a real idea of what they're going to be expecting. On my first interview, getting into financial planning, the first day I saw a cash flow plan, and from then I was sold. And that same experience can work with clients. As soon as they see what you're capable of and what you can do, things like this can be really revolutionary to the way that you do business. So just to recap then, before we get to the questions, is number one, videos in the sales and onboarding process help to really create that world-class client experience that we're all looking for. So that's probably the most contemporary one out of today. Video Ask helps to contact clients, but also helps to explain those complex topics that we struggle with a lot of the time. Short social media videos help to grow your audience and your reputation. Website videos can completely change your website for the better and can get more people engaging with it. And Loom is a fantastic tool for communicating better with your clients and prospects. So across those different 5 areas there, I hope today that you can see how all of these will eventually revolutionize the way that we all do these things. But if you can get ahead of everybody else, and if you can start using these things now, then you're going to really kind of notice the difference in the way that you do things in your business. So if anybody does want to grow with video in 2026 and start actually engaging with this kind of stuff, Planning Scale, we work exclusively with financial planners. We don't work with anybody else. And if you scan that QR code on the right-hand side of the screen there, you can book a call with me. book some time in, we'll have a conversation, we'll have a chat through. If you can't find any times that suit you, just let me know and I'll send across some other dates. But we're really looking forward to having a conversation with a lot of you about this, because I'm really excited about it, as I hope a lot of you can tell. Okay, so we will now have a look at some of the questions and some of the conversations that's been going on in the chat. If we deal with the Q&As first, we've got one from Kiri here, which says, "This is great, Dan." Thank you very much, Kiri. What are your top few tips to ensure what we produce is super professional and engaging without striving for perfection? It's a really good question, Kiri. And to be honest, lighting and sound, microphones is one of the cheapest and easiest ways that you can start to improve things. So even just getting like a 30 quid, 40 quid mic from Amazon, which links to your phone, that can immediately start to change the quality. There's actually, we're doing some filming today, so there's a light over there, you can see. Things like that can completely change the way that you film and the way that it looks. Lighting and sound are two of the most important things. And if you can get those things right, without striving for perfection, you're going to improve videos straight away. Another thing that I would recommend is getting one of these things here, which is a teleprompter. It might be backwards on your screen there, but a teleprompter basically is just a way to script. Okay, so if you were to do those scripts that we mentioned before from ChatGPT and those kind of things, you can stick that on the stand and you can have the script there and the camera there. You can even build it into the camera as well. And if you really struggle with talking in front of camera, having a teleprompter can absolutely revolutionize the way that you record. Really simple. I think they're about 100 quid, but it can completely just give people that access to video that they didn't have before. So hopefully those kind of top tips will help there, Here, I've got loads more, as you can probably imagine. But thank you so much for that question. How secure is video ask? It's a good question. So from our side, it does all the things that GDPR looks for, and it does all the things that, it passes all the EU security regulations and those kind of things. Obviously, you just want to check with your compliance just to make sure that there's no gaps in terms of that. First of all, certainly for kind of client personal information. But even if your compliance don't allow you to use it for things like one-to-one communication with your clients, you can still use it for those interactive guides and fees and those kind of things. You can still use it to make a client agreement. Quite fun, because that's not personal information as well. But it has passed over all of our kind of demands that we ask of it. Same for Loom. Loom is actually passed with a lot of compliance consultants, because I know loads of financial planners who use it. So you're fine to use Loom, but again, just check with your compliance consultant or compliance team just to make sure there's no gaps there with the way it works. What videos work best for a new business launch? That's a really good question. To be honest, I mean, website ones are absolutely crucial. So use this opportunity when you've got the kind of sandbox environment to put loads of videos on your website that's been freshly new built. But also things like telling your story, telling why things happened, telling why you're launching. Sorry, what makes you guys different to everybody else. Yeah, I think those would be the key ones. I think use it as an opportunity to potentially see it as almost like a USP for you against other firms, especially if you're launching and you're quite new and you're nimble and you can be quick and those kind of things. These kind of, you don't have to get it signed off by loads of different departments above you and those kind of things. You can really be nimble with these kind of things. So I guess all of those videos that we talked about today would be good, but it's certainly little handy explainers of the way you do things and why you're different would be really good. But again, thank you so much for your question there. Anonymous attendee, and I wonder why they're anonymous, because they're launching a new business. So Daniel's asked, do you know of any research tools to find out what personal finance questions people are asking? Thank you so much for asking this question, Daniel, because we do. So first of all, ChatGPT can do this, which is really helpful, or Perplexity or those kind of things. I use Perplexity Deep Research, which is a really, really handy tool, which you can pay for. I think it's like 19 quid a month or something like that. But what it does is it's like a research assistant. So it takes a bit longer than other LLMs out there, but actually what it can do is it can get really deep, and it can look at scholar studies, it can look at like SEO listening tools. It can look at reports. It can look at research articles and those kind of things. So Perplexity and ChatGPT can actually do a lot of that. But there's actually a really cool tool called Answer the Public, which I've recommended a few times on webinars. And if you put in, for example, retirement, or if you put in retirement planning, or if you put income protection or budget 2025, for example, it can bring up loads of different actual questions that people are typing into Google. And if you can probably see where I'm going with this, but if it gives you like a lovely little kind of mind map of ideas. If you were to take all of those ideas, stick them into something like ChatGPT and say, formulate me 50 ideas for content from these questions from Google, it would absolutely do that for you. And again, you can get it to write the scripts and those kind of things as well. So it's a really good question, Daniel, and there's loads of different ways to do it, but I think ChatGPT, Perplexity, and also Answer the Public are going to be really good things for that. Chris says, I've been using Loom for client videos for years. A little worried what would happen if Loom went under or something like that, as we would lose a lot of communications that should be recorded. It's a really good point, Chris. To be honest, these things have got absolutely like superhero levels servers nowadays, because they're a multinational corporation now. So all of it will be backed up and backed up and backed up and backed up. So it'll still be there somewhere. It's very difficult to lose data nowadays. So that's unfortunate for a lot of people who want to lose it, but they will be backed up somewhere. Also, what I would do is get into a really good habit of perhaps doing a download or a kind of data dump at certain points. So maybe every year, just download all the videos from Loom and stick them in a folder somewhere, just so that they're all backed up on your side as well. But yeah, it's a really good question that a lot of people consider, is what happens if they do go down, for example, especially considering what happened last week with Amazon Web Services as well. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on in the chat then. So Tiny's asked, can you send video ask via WhatsApp? You can, yeah. So you can send a link via WhatsApp. So you could record it, let's say, for example, record it on your phone on video ask, and then you can share it using WhatsApp on your phone as well. Really cool. And again, it can actually share it as a video in WhatsApp as well, which again is really interesting. A microphone recommendation. So I've got a few. To be honest, there's loads of them, but I think for anything that you're going to clamp to your desk, almost like sorry for shaking the screen, a podcast style mic, Shure is absolute. So SHURE is absolutely the best at the moment in terms of quality, in terms of price and value. So I would look into those. In terms of things like lapel mics and that kind of stuff for when you're recording, I actually use something called the Rode Wireless Go, which just allows me to be really quick and nimble. It's wireless. I can just stick it on anywhere, and it works. And I can record outside because it's got windbreakers and all that kind of stuff as well. Alternatively, there's things like DJI mics, which are pretty much the best that you can get. They are on the pricier side, so they're about $250 for two. But again, this is what I mean about if you're going to be stingy, then you have to deal with what you've got. Whereas, if you're willing to just put a little bit of investment in, that return on investment can be huge in the future. Simon's asked, any other starter kit you recommend? So for your phone, obviously the microphone would be important. Lighting is crucial. So you can go on Amazon, search Neewer's the best. So NEEWER is definitely the kind of the widest used lighting. Pay 30 quid or whatever it is to get some lighting. But then also tripods. Don't forget about tripods. So again, just search on Amazon, just search for a tripod that can hold an iPhone, for example, or tripod that can hold a light. That would be really crucial. Teleprompter is a good thing to have in your starter kit, but it's not absolutely crucial. But yeah, if you can deal with lighting, something to put your phone on, and a microphone, to be fair, Simon, you're absolutely flying from that point. Interesting few answers to the videos there, which is good. 0 until the website you design goes live. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah. In our blog, about 5 to 10 videos. That's cool. Thank you. Hugh's got 160. No, I can't. You need to message me, Hugh. That's incredible. Actually, I do know that you do videos. So yeah, I believe you on that one. That's amazing. Well done. We've got a few questions here. Does anyone have the name of the planner who's posting YouTube videos? I'd like to check it out. Yeah, there's James Shack and George Hagan. There's Simon Alexander from Streamline Financial Planning. He's really, really good. The company that Jamie's from is Jamie Kite, and that's Kite FP. I think somebody else put in there as well, which is amazing. And yeah, just lots of conversation going on. Any tips on best socials content to start with? Oh God. So I think answering client questions is the biggest one. So the most common questions you get, almost like an FAQs. Really, really good place to start. Stuff about your team, I think, would be really good, because that kind of content gets more engagement. So things like, funny videos about what you and your team get up to on weekends, and what you like and what you don't like, and those kind of things, they can really get you off to a good start. To be honest, I would not necessarily head straight for things like fees and stuff like that, because a lot of it's almost like you have to warm the audience up first before you start talking about how you're going to charge them. So I think they're great for things like websites, but for socials, I would deal with more. We were actually talking about this as a team before, and we were saying that when people go onto social media, they're not necessarily going on there to be educated. They're going on there to distract themselves, have fun, have a cry, have a laugh, whatever it might be. And so if you can get into that mindset of thinking, what are my audience going on here for? And try and match your content with that, that works a lot better than creating content that you think might work, but actually is a bit boring for the audience. So just trying to keep that in mind when you're recording this, Tanya. James asks, video editing software. So yeah, Canva's not bad, to be fair. CapCut's kind of really good for people who want to be nimble and quick. That's got AI tools built in as well, which is amazing. So it can automatically add captions to videos. So that's CapCut. There's other ones out there like Premiere Pro and stuff, but they're really kind of, comprehensive tools that you can use. To be honest, there's a few online as well. There are free ones, but there's loads of different ones out there, James. If I was you and I was just starting, I'd probably go with CapCut and just give that a go, and then just get used to that and see how you get on with it in the future. George says you can do similar to Loom in Microsoft Teams. You can, of course. Yeah, thank you for letting people know that. That's a really good point. And the rest of them are just note takers. Amazing. Okay, so, we've got one more question in the Q&A. Hang on, let me have a look. What sort of things would a power planner talk about? I'm guessing Ask the Public wouldn't really apply to a power planning business. So I agree, Andy. I think that you perhaps won't get much from things like Answer the Public, but you can use the same mentality that financial planners do with their clients, but use your clients instead. So a lot of people will be asked, a lot of financial planners who are here right now, they'll be asking questions that you can answer using content. So, there's so many different things that you can look at, reports, you can look at research, you can look at all the different things that you do on a day-to-day basis. But think back to all the questions that you've been asked in those first meetings with clients and those kind of things, and try and figure out what they are. So you're right, you're not going to get it from ChatGPT and Answer the Public and those kind of things, because it's quite niche area. But the best place to start here, read They Ask You Answer, and have a look back through your previous meetings and stuff with clients. I think that'd be really helpful.